Everyone seems to be quitting YouTube, but not your old pal Buckley. That's all thanks to everyone who supports the habit at patreon.com/doseofbuckley. Of course, after this one, maybe you'll wish I did quit. At this point in my life, I've come to terms with the fact that I'm a masochist. I love suffering. I must. Not in the women in leather whipping your nuts while stepping on your throat in high heels type of masochism, though they do say you shouldn't knock things before you try it, but as I've mentioned on this channel before, I boxed in my late teens and early 20s. I signed up for a sport where the entire goal is to punch each other in the head. And for the last 14 years, I've routinely chosen topics for my dumb little YouTube show that I know will piss certain people off, that will cause them to call me all sorts of names. And then, I read almost all of them. So I already know, based on the last time I talked about trans women in sports, that people are going to be angry at me and call me some not so nice names. Well, good news for me, I like it. So, let me read you a headline that got everyone frothing. USA Boxing to allow transgender women to compete against female boxers under certain conditions from 2024 after introducing new policy. Now, I'm going to tell you that my stance on this isn't good for them, or about time trans women should be allowed to fight in the women's division. As I said in my last video, which got ignored, is that I'm not sure about this, but I'll trust actual scientists and experts in sports medicine over a guy yelling about hand size on social media. But my stance is that if this does bother you, it shouldn't. It's likely nothing to worry about. And this is coming from a boxing coach who has trained female boxers. I'll explain why you shouldn't worry in a minute. But first, let's hear from the people who are bothered. So, glorifying men to beat up women. Great job, USA Boxing. So stunning and brave. Your misogyny is showing. So now men who hate women get to beat them up and it's legal. Misogynist that becomes trans so he can hit women in public again. Lots of this. Apparently now what trans people are doing is transitioning not so that they can win, like say Leah Thomas or, Leah Thomas, I can't name another one. Widespread problem though. But so that they can just injure women. This tweet did make me laugh though. I guess we'll get to see equal rights. And lefts. That one's funny no matter who you are. Come on. Anyway, Riley Gaines, a lady swimmer who tied for 5th with the aforementioned Leah Thomas once, and has made that her entire brand on social media, posted, USA Boxing to allow men who merely say they are women to fight against women. Mark my words, it will take a woman getting killed before these misogynistic fools wake up. One of her parrots also tweets, what will it take to ban men from women's sports? Does a woman need to be killed in the ring? This is dangerous and absurd. So, now's a good time to talk about those guidelines, huh? First one, this doesn't apply to youth boxers. Under 18, you must compete in the category of your birth gender. Next, the athlete has declared that her gender identity is female and has completed gender reassignment surgery. So right out of the gate, Riley is lying. You can't just merely say you're a woman. You have to go for the full slice and dice. This should deter, I would say about 100% of all dudes who would be trying to do this for any sort of petty reason. Third, for 4 years, you have to get blood tests every 3 months to prove your testosterone levels are below 5 nanomoles per liter. Again, before you can even fight once. And then they have to stay below that for as long as they want to keep boxing. Oh, and USA Boxing can decide on a case-by-case basis if that's even long enough. They can just say, nah, you need another year before you're lady enough. These testosterone requirements, by the way, are half of the Olympic requirements. You know, the Olympics, where a trans athlete following their guidelines placed dead last in a weightlifting competition. Remember that? When they didn't just lose, they lost the most you can possibly lose. And finally, USA Boxing is the overseer of amateur fucking boxing. For women, it's 2-minute rounds with headgears and weight classes, even at the highest competitive levels. No one is dying in the ring. If a person gets punched hard, cleanly, even once, the referee will stop the fight, administer an 8 count, see if the fighter is okay to continue, and if that happens more than a couple times, the fight is over. That's how the amateurs work. Oh, which made these comments even funnier. Someone replied to the person saying that men are going to do this to legally beat up women with, plus they get to make a show out of it and get pay. Another person said, every single woman should refuse to fight the men. Let their money dry up due to no fights and see how they feel about it. There is no money! This is amateur fucking boxing. Thousands of fights every year taking place in front of 50 to 150 people at a legion near you, with the prize being a plastic trophy or a fake medal, and a record no one remembers or cares about. You know Floyd Mayweather's pro record, 50-0, undefeated. Do you know his amateur record? Of course you don't. He lost several times and no one cares. And the absolute earliest anyone could possibly qualify to do this is 2028, since they'd have to start getting those blood tests now. There's no way anyone was doing this before, because they wouldn't have known. There was no guideline. You know, the funniest shit about all of this is that, realistically, people who hate the idea of trans athletes should be loving USA boxing. Because what they've done here is said, hey, so the world wants us to be progressive? Fine, we'll make this so fucking difficult, no one will ever be able to really do it. And instead, you got people posting dumb shit like the Tiffany Stone scene from Scary Movie, captioned, comedy in 2003, reality in 2023. No, I think USA Boxing did this to deter it entirely. To say, hey, we got a policy. Oh, you can't meet those requirements? Well, too bad. That's what they are. You can still fight in the men's division if you want. The usual fear-mongering is that men do this so that they can win against easier competition. You know you can just go buy a trophy or a medal or a title belt, right? Let me ask you another question. Do you know who won the 2016 Indiana State Golden Gloves in the welterweight division? Again, of course you don't. I couldn't even Google it. So, go to the trophy shop, get them to make you a medal that says 2016 Golden Gloves winner, get a frame from the dollar store to display it in your house. Now you're the welterweight Indiana State Golden Gloves champ. Congrats! That's a whole lot easier than getting your sack sliced off. Cheaper, too. What's reassignment surgery cost in the US? I don't want to look it up. I don't need those ads showing up. But I'll tell you, the medal is cheaper. That's what Frank Dukes did, the guy who claims Bloodsport is based on his true story and that he fought in several real kumites. It's all allegedly bullshit. There's a receipt from a trophy store, and no one can actually back up his story. Yeah, but Buckley, what if someone finds out you're a fraud? You won't have any respect. Yeah, because trans athletes are so well respected. No, I'll tell you what. If a guy decides to go get castrated and then spends 4 years not just taking hormones, but documenting it, going to a doctor to get blood drawn to prove their testosterone levels are below the allowable threshold, and does this all while training just to win the Iowa State Women's Novice Tournament, I say they deserve the win, because that is more dedication than anyone has ever put into anything in their entire fucking life. You know what's interesting though? So far, the only trans boxer to make headlines is Patricio Manuel, a woman who transitioned to male and is now 3-0. But how's that possible? Every person born a man should be able to beat every person who was born a woman in a fight. In fact, they'd actually kill them. Riley Gaines, who believes that transitioning to female also gives you an unfair advantage in chess, said so. So again, my stance isn't that this is good, it's that actually, USA Boxing is doing this to pretty much ensure that you never actually see it happen. But I guess in 4 years, if someone transitions and we find out they're now the #1 ranked adult female fighter in all of Beaver County, Pennsylvania, Beaver, I'll make a video where I tell you how wrong I was. But I'll tell you what, this gives new meaning to that old joke. That girl can't wrestle, but you should see her box. Seriously though, the doctor will need to see it before she's allowed to fight.